You're looking at live pictures of the White House, where a new era of leadership has officially begun, and the new First Family is getting ready for a huge night on the town. Good evening. Almost 2 million filled the nation's capital to witness history.
From Washington to here in New York and across the world, people are celebrating our new president.
4 New York is covering all the excitement with a team of reporters bringing you the most complete local coverage of the inauguration of Barack Obama, beginning with Steve Handelsman in Washington. Steve?
Thanks. Good afternoon from Washington, where this is still a stunning day. All the predictions have been exceeded. The crowds are enormous, the emotions intense. This is the White House, home of the 44th president.
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear.
Even before his swearing in, President Barack Obama rewrote history again. As he and First Lady Michelle Obama went to church, and later, as the Obamas went to the White House, a gigantic crowd was gathering, filling the National Mall. People streamed in from across America. Police officials called it the largest crowd to ever gather in Washington, maybe 2 million people, as America's 44th president took the oath of office.
That I will execute the office of President to the United States faithfully.
That I will execute
faithfully the office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States faithfully.
And will, to the best of my ability.
And will, to the best of my ability.
Preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
A nation elated but in trouble. In his inaugural address, the new president cited 2 wars, the economy, global warming.
Today, I say to you that the challenges we face are real. They are serious and they are many. They will not be met easily or in a short span of time. But know this, America, they will be met.
To U.S. enemies, tough talk.
Now that our spirit is stronger and cannot be broken, you cannot outlast us, and we will defeat you.
To fellow Americans, tough love.
Starting today, we must pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and begin again the work of remaking America.
With a shake and a hug and a wave, the guard changed. George W. Bush is gone. Congress met to celebrate, but the upbeat lunch was spoiled when Senator Ted Kennedy, fighting brain cancer, suffered a seizure.
Right now, a part of me is with him.
But the inaugural parade was triumphant. A huge throng out in the cold for the warm rush of seeing President Obama. Tonight are the inaugural balls, and President Obama plans to attend 10. Tomorrow, he starts with a prayer meeting and then down to work. At the White House, I'm Steve Handelsman, News 4 New York.
Steve, thank you. And as Steve just mentioned, the exuberance of Barack Obama's inauguration was tempered by a medical emergency involving Ted Kennedy. The Massachusetts senator was one of Obama's earliest and most influential supporters. Jonathan Deese is here now with the latest on that situation.
Sue, David, a hospital spokeswoman says Senator Kennedy is conscious and answering questions. Before the incident, Kennedy looked well, and President Obama had walked over to greet him. Some at the luncheon said it looked like Kennedy suffered a seizure. Doctors are not yet reporting what happened. Kennedy has suffered past seizures since becoming ill with the brain tumor. After he was taken out, the president voiced his concern.
This is a joyous time, but it's also a sobering time. And my prayers are with him and his family and Vicky.
For a time, there was shock in the room and there was a moment of silence. Senator Byrd of West Virginia, upset by what he saw, left the lunch. Kennedy's wife and son Patrick rushed to be at his hospital bedside. As Kennedy was put in an ambulance, the 76-year-old was telling those around him, quote, "I'll be okay." Kennedy remains hospitalized, and doctors expected to run a series of tests to see if there are complications from his cancer fight. But again, a hospital spokeswoman says Senator Kennedy is alert and answering questions after falling ill earlier today. Sue,
and Jonathan, no cameras caught this incident.
It was during the private lunch hour, so the cameras were not rolling at the time, not allowed to roll.
All right, Jonathan, thank you.
All right. Well, needless to say, it takes a powerful force to draw up to 2 million people to any one place at one time. Those who travel to Washington from New York and elsewhere had deeply personal reasons for doing so. And they shared some of them with our Jeff Rossen, who filed this report.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
They couldn't see Barack Obama back here, but they could hear him, and they could cheer for him.
Obama! Obama!
Is this an inauguration or a football game with the face paint?
Both, in excitement-wise, but it is amazing.
We found some New Yorkers, Newburgh, Poughkeepsie, Westchester, Long Island. So what's it like here?
It's really cold. It's really cold.
Insane. It's crazy.
What about for you?
It's amazing. So many people here. It's history in the making. Amazing experience.
There were chills on the National Mall today. Oh, and it was cold, too.
It's what we've been waiting for. I mean, that's all I can say. It's what we've been waiting for, and it's here. That's why it's done.
And there were tears as the enormity of this moment marinated.
I'm 60 years old, and I'm seeing it.
It's overwhelming for you.
Yes.
In this one spot, on this one patch of grass, our snapshot, what seemed like a national mood swing. From fanfare.
The people have remained faithful to the ideals of our forebears.
To the words of a new president cutting through this crowd with ease. You could hear a pin drop, a speech this woman from Brooklyn had to see.
Did you call home to Brooklyn when he was sworn in?
No, their cell phones are not working.
Let's go down to 23rd Street. It's the exit only.
Getting here wasn't easy. People were detoured, forced to walk miles. In some cases, 2 blocks meant 2 hours.
Right now it's 8:30 in the morning. We are surrounded by people here at the metro station. A lot of the stations are closed near the Capitol, so everyone is getting off basically in the same place.
You had to be up early in the morning to be here. I was up 2 o'clock waiting for the big event to happen.
And leaving wasn't much easier. A slow journey back to reality, to their problems, to the country's problems, and the new president who just made history.
I had to bring them here. This is a life-changing experience for them, for me, for all of us.
The focus now turns to the inaugural balls. There are 10 of them happening in Washington, D.C. Tonight, Barack Obama will actually visit every single one. But for the thousands who don't have tickets to those official balls, well, there'll be hundreds of unofficial parties happening at bars and homes across this city tonight. In Washington, Jeff Rawson, News 4 New York.
Jeff, thank you. And as one of the political and cultural centers of Black America, Harlem has a huge emotional investment in Barack Obama's achievements. John Noel is live in Harlem, where reaction to the swearing-in ceremony ranged from solemn to celebratory. John?
Sue, wherever you go in Harlem, you see it on people's faces. You hear it in their voices. This is a community awash in emotion. Folks living in a time most thought they'd never see.
Hundreds of people who filled the famed Apollo Theater in Harlem were on their feet when the words were spoken in Washington, D.C. Barack Obama taking the oath of office to become the 44th president of the United States of America. And for many people in the jubilant crowd, the emotion of the historic moment proved to be overwhelming.
I'm sorry, I can't stop crying. I grew up knowing that this will never happen. It wasn't going to never be. Don't even dream about it. Don't even tell your children you can be anything you want. You'll never be the president. You can say it now. You can say it now.
I gotta get him. Less than a block away, out in front of the state office building on 125th Street in Manhattan, hundreds more braved the cold to watch history on a giant screen.
Oh, you can't see right now, but underneath these clothes, I got goosebumps because it's a magical day. And I realized that Obama, he can't do it by himself. It's going to take all of us, no matter what race, color, creed we are. But we can do this.
A little farther uptown at Londell's Supper Club, there was a smaller, more intimate, but no less emotional gathering of people who will never forget where they were on this day.
The inauguration meant that the United States is making a turn in history, and I think they'll overcome all obstacles that are put in its way.
A new area, and it's going to be only for the best, okay? And I love that. He has the best charisma. He has something that nobody had before, okay? We just feel proud.
Now, we were here on election night at Londell's Supper Club. The owner told me today, only now is he sure what happened that night was real. Reporting live in Harlem, John Noel, News 4 New York.
All right, an emotional day there, John. And while we'll get you all caught up on the events that have happened earlier today, we also want to keep you connected to what is transpiring now in Washington. These are live pictures from the inaugural parade that is moving past the reviewing stand there. And you see President Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama. The parade making its way past several VIPs in front of the White House there. And we'll keep that up throughout the program so you can stay in touch. But we also want to remind you and share with you some of the other events. And you know what? Around here, there's a lot of celebrating, as John pointed out. In Times Square, it truly did look like another New Year's Eve. Despite bitter cold temperatures, people stood for hours to watch the live broadcast of the inauguration on the big screen plasma. They held today's newspapers, Obama photographs, and some were even holding Obama, a cardboard cutout of the new president. Hundreds of people also packed Rockefeller Center to watch the inauguration.
Courage and fair play, tolerance and curiosity.
All eyes were on the big screens, watching history unfold before them. For people young and old, it was an emotional and patriotic experience. Cheers and applause filled the plaza as Barack Obama spoke to America for the first time as president.
President Obama was able to capture the White House by gathering support from a broad cross-section of voters. His success opened a world of possibilities. Tim Minton is live at Essex College in Newark, where the victory party continues tonight. Tim?
Sue, we've been across New Jersey for much of the day, and many we saw said they wish they could have gone to Washington, but instead what they took was a personal journey to group viewing. Rather than watching at home, Pital Abdul took a 45-minute bus ride from Orange to watch with a crowd, and she brought a box of tissues.
I know I'm going to cry. It's going to be very emotional. It's going to be, I think, not just for me, for a lot of other people, too.
I just got finished doing a 17-and-a-half-hour shift, and I had to be here. There's no other place. I couldn't make it to Washington. I could make it here and celebrate with our people.
Which is exactly what the Performing Arts Center's chief executive had in mind when he invited almost 3,000 people to experience vicariously the thrill of events in Washington.
We always wanted to be New Jersey's town square, a place where people can come together to feel and touch each other and to celebrate great occasions.
From the first sight of the president-elect, the mood electrified. Minutes later, when the Chief Justice administered the oath and said, "Congratulations, Mr. President," it turned euphoric.
You know, I work on racial integration. I've dedicated my life to working to bring people together. And to see a person who embodies the work that I do is just so amazing.
Across Newark, from a McDonald's restaurant to Essex College's cafeteria, every minute of an historic day became the Super Bowl of politics that nobody wanted to miss.
Today is very important to not only black people, but to American in general. You know, we've really come far, and we are just here to celebrate that.
And back live now here at Essex College, where there are no speakers, there's no program. What there is history, and they are talking a lot of that here. We're live in Newark. Tim Minton, News 4 New York.
Plenty to talk about, Tim. Thank you. Americans who aren't old enough to vote are still old enough to understand the significance of today's inauguration. Tom Yamas has reaction from young students. He's live in Brownsville. Tom?
Well, David, they don't only understand, they've been preparing for this moment since the day after the election. Just behind me, a Barack Obama informational booth with books just above photos of Barack and Michelle Obama. Then across the hallway, right in the entrance of the school, on the other side, the Barack Obama wall, photos, collages, personal reflections from students. For many at PS 323, the Obama presidency means three things. Yes, we can. When children get this excited about politics, something special is happening in Washington. The moment President Barack Obama appeared on screen, students at PS 323 jumped out of their chairs.
It gives me hope and more opportunities for in the future.
8th grader Sherwin Renard will never forget seeing Obama take the oath of office.
That I could be president of the United States one day.
Some students were so moved by this day, they wrote poems to the new president.
Have a new yes, we can have a free world. Yes, we can have no more war.
For these youngsters in Ocean Hill, Brownsville, this is a great time for them to see that they can look up to someone, to see that someone that looks like them have arrived in the White House.
The God-given promise that all are equal, all are free, and all deserve a chance to pursue their full measure of happiness.
Basically, we're trying to let everybody know that you can do whatever you want to do in life as long as you put your mind to it.
A majority of the students at PS 323 are black. They've learned about the struggle for civil rights, the leaders who came before President Obama. But now, all they have to do is look up at a television to know they live in a different time in a much different country. Now, coming up later in the newscast, we'll have some students and some teachers from PS 323 to talk about what it meant. We'll talk to them live about the inauguration of President Barack Obama. Reporting live from Brownsville section in Brooklyn, I'm Tom Yamas, News 4 New York.
All right, Tom, thank you. And certainly those students also have a lot to reflect upon. And Sue, we join now the inaugural day parade live as it's unfolding in Washington, capping off. Really not capping off because there's still inaugural balls to go forward, but certainly a day-long number of events.
So much to take in. The emotion of the day, the history of the day.
Yeah, I'm wondering what struck you, Sue, because we know that the night that he won the election, you and Chuck were sitting here and you reflected on many things, and as you saw some of the events today, I'm wondering what thoughts struck you.
Well, I guess all we can do is relate personally to this. Yeah. And of course, my mind goes back to just before I was born, and my parents fled here from Chicago as an interracial couple, trying to seek refuge in housing. And you know, a lot of people don't remember that New York City, in fact, was segregated housing-wise for many years, right up until maybe the 60s. So that aspect of it, the interracial part of it, which is not necessarily the norm today, but it certainly is a lot more presence than it was when I was coming up. You know, I remember my folks talking about Joe Louis fighting in the 40s and how that was one of the only things black people had to be proud about then, was that we had a black heavyweight champion. And now we've got a new kind of heavyweight champion.
Exactly, and it did strike me that they tried to blend that generational aspect to it throughout today. Congressman John Lewis, who of course had his head bloodied in the civil rights struggle, Muhammad Ali, and so much of the civil rights battle was fought, you know, in the boxing ring, as you just mentioned, Joe Louis, on the baseball diamond, on the football field later, and all of that was woven in today as we look at these kind of colorful pictures now coming from the inaugural day parade, even some young students from our area participating in this parade for the 44th President of the United States.
And they will remember this day forever.
Oh, without question, without question.
I wonder how long it took them getting ready for this parade. You know, kids get so excited. I remember getting excited by the Columbus Day parade.
Of course,
you know?
yeah. And this one in particular, they knew they'd be the world focus, practicing, the nervous tension, the long day, the long walk to even get where they needed to be today, as we heard from Jeff Rossen earlier. While we have some of that, we also have, Sue, some of the early special newspapers that have been printed. New York Post has already come out, and here it is. It's History is Made. I don't know if we can get a shot of that now.
I don't know how long it takes them to get to press, but I was stunned by how quickly this happened.
I know it. I know it. And if you open it up, and I don't know how flexible I can be with our camera shot, if you'll bear with me, Susan, in the control room, but they already have some of the great images that have kind of emerged from that day. And all of the newspapers have said they will do this, but you can see how quickly and how much interest there will be.
I'm trying to figure out how President Obama felt right after he was sworn in.
I know.
You know, thank you, Mr. President, or whatever, something, Mr. President.
Yeah.
Mr. President, me?
And I heard, you know, earlier Brian Williams and Tom Brokaw were leading the NBC coverage, and they were talking about each prior president says there's a different moment when it hits them, when it's really theirs. And I guess Ronald Reagan, he got upstairs where the White House residence is and looked down the hall and said, oh, yeah, it's hit me. I guess for someone else. And for him, it may be when he walks in the Oval Office. We're not sure. It'd be interesting to hear what he says when it's finally hitting him.
And I wonder how extensively they've talked to their children about how their lives are going to change and what their demeanor should be, and giving them, you know, some wisdom.
Yeah. So I understand that NBC's Deputy Political Director, Mark Murray, is also available to talk with us now as we look at these pictures of the parade moving forward. Mark, you've been down there, and this has been quite a day there. I'd like to know, first of all, just what struck you.
Well, it's actually been quite a last 4 days, and I think that's probably the biggest thing, is how just long this celebration, the pomp and circumstance has gone on. You know, sometimes we forget that 8 years can be a very, very long time, and the time between transitions of power, and just seeing all of this happen, the parade, the celebrations, that's what's striking to me.
Mark, we've seen obviously the pageantry. It was well choreographed, but we turn our thoughts, and even Barack Obama himself said that there is much work to be done. And Obviously, we've still got a long night of celebration coming up, 10 balls, inaugural balls. But tomorrow, Mark, what happens? What's on the agenda? Where does he start?
Well, it's not even tomorrow, it's right now.
Yep.
And, you know, there are so many challenges that he has, and a large part of his inaugural speech today was telling the American public just how big these challenges are. One is obviously dealing with a very troubled economy. Barack Obama is trying to sell his economic stimulus plan, $825 billion. Also managing 2 wars, one in Iraq, the other one in Afghanistan. Also, really urging the American public to be patient, telling them that this is actually going to take quite a while.
All right, NBC Deputy Political Director Mark Murray, thank you for your thoughts and insights as we again look at the inaugural day parade before the reviewing stand there in front of the White House. And it's interesting, Sue, there's so many emotional touchstones, but I thought of one today. You know, early in this campaign, I was out in front of the Sheraton over in Midtown trying to get into an Obama fundraiser. And, you know, he didn't spend a whole lot of time campaigning in New York. It seemed as if a foregone conclusion that it would go his way once he was the established Democratic nominee. But he did come here stealth-like and collect a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about how we couldn't get in. We were politely asked to leave because that was a more...
Well, were you there personally or
no,
you
we were trying to cover.
4?
We were trying to see who some of the early donors were and find out. Yeah, I was there on behalf of Channel 4. I was out there with a cameraman. And it just struck me, though, that for all of this, the pageantry that is unfolding today and the history of it, we're reminded, too, that this was a very tactful and strategic campaign that he ran, and that really contributed to him being there as well. The ability to collect so much money and to win in some of those smaller states. And all of that is flooding back today as we look at this momentous occasion today.
I mean, tactfulness had to be the call of the day for him this last 2 or 3 weeks when so many things have been happening and people are calling on him to, what are you going to do, what are you going to do? And he had to keep reminding us that President Bush was still in office. He required that respect any president is due, and that he couldn't say anything. So I'm sure he's just straining to get ready, you know?
Looking at the inaugural day parade, the University of Delaware there, the marching band, and what an honor it must be to be asked to participate in this. And Sue was talking earlier about how long it must have taken them to prepare for it. They're probably conducting routines that they've done before, but they had to get it just perfect for today.
Now, if you had your druthers, would you want to be at one of those balls tonight?
Well, you know, I'll tell you, you know, it's kind of interesting to be a witness there, but, you know, it's going to get such a glimpse of him, you know. It's not like I'm going to be able to shake his hand.
Oh, no.
Certainly, you know what I mean? And
no,
unless the rest of the group is a party bunch.
No, they whiz in and whiz out again. All right. Well, you know, Long Island already has a school named for Barack Obama.
Right.
And that school, along with a theater, were turned into inauguration viewing centers. And Greg Sergel dropped in.
It's truly a day for America. It's almost like a birthday party.
They watched on computer screens and 4 movie screens. Close to 600 people who first left food and clothing for the needy, then came together at Huntington's New Community Cinema to share a moment in history.
My father always told me you could do anything, and I think that it confirms that.
LaQuetta Goodwin's emotions weren't unique. As she watched the nation's first black president, Gwendolyn Bolton thought of her mom marching for civil rights in Georgia.
He looks like me. Tell me I can't do anything. I can.
That feeling of optimism was also palpable at a special school in Hempstead.
Good morning, Barack Obama Elementary School. May I help you?
It's believed to be the first school to change its name in honor of the new president.
It's an honor to the whole school.
And while their projects honoring Barack Obama may not last, what will endure for these kids may well be the message of this day.
He showed us how to follow our dreams as he follows his dreams.
A valuable lesson for kids who face challenges similar to those that once stood before the man they watched become president.
I gave up my tickets to the inauguration so that I would be able to look at the faces of these children. This is a happiness that our whole community is sharing.
Greg Sergel, News 4 New York.
Now, if you missed any of President Obama's speech, you can still watch it on our website. You'll also find video clips and photo galleries from all over today's events. Just log on to NBCNewYork.com.
We're continuing to stay with these live pictures here on a day that, of course, has been filled with pageantry and celebration. This is the inaugural day parade making its way in front of the reviewing stand, and Sue and I were commenting that there really hasn't been, there's been barely a moment for the Obamas to kind of relax. I think the girls were able to get away and maybe get some moments, but they've gone from obviously this morning coffee with the Bushes.
Well, our spokesman just a little while ago said, well, you know, his job starts today.
Yes.
Well, I don't think he has time. I mean, is he going into a room every 5 hours and taking a phone call? I mean,
right.
Really, how is that possible?
There's a shot of the Vice President, Joe Biden, and of course a lot was made of the little comment from Jill Biden, Dr. Jill Biden yesterday. Well,
I want to ask you about that,
yes,
David. You
yes.
know, Mrs. Biden said that Joe Biden actually was the first choice for Secretary of State, and I kept waiting for Mr. Biden to say, no, that's not so, honey.
Yeah, right,
You know?
I know. He really didn't. Apparently off camera we couldn't see he was trying to shush her, but he didn't really knock that down, did he? There was a statement put out afterwards saying, I guess proverbially, what she meant to say was
yeah. But
that ultimately he was always considered for the vice presidency. But I guess that was just part of the, you know, Barack Obama wanted to move quickly. He felt he had to move quickly, and so they were moving quickly, and certain decisions were made. But
one can only wonder what the Clintons, or Hillary at least, was thinking about that.
Right.
What does it matter? I mean, she has the job, and
yeah.
He has the job, and
hopefully, well, presumably confirmed. It was apparently being held up by one senator that it could have happened today. But
does it have to be unanimous?
Well, I guess he has the ability at least to hold it up for one day with his vote, but ultimately, I think it will probably clear tomorrow is what we're hearing, and we'll have more information on that later in the broadcast.
We're also hoping to get Don Newcomb, formerly of the Brooklyn Dodgers, to comment on this. He was a very close friend of Jackie Robinson's. They played at the same time, but also was very close to Martin Luther King. So we're told that we had him on the phone and we've lost him, but we're still trying to get Don Newcomb back. I think Tommy Lasorda was supposed to be around too, but I haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah, no, and it's just been interesting, as we were saying earlier, I mean, how so many athletes fought the struggle in their way. And Sue, I know you're intimately familiar with that.
Well, I am in the sense that not only that, but because my father was a black musician, and he traveled a lot. They would often find themselves down south during spring training, and the musicians and the ball players all stayed at the same hotel. I mean, he came home with autographs from Jackie Robinson and Roy Campanella and all the people that were barrier breakers back then. So they shared a lot of stories. So that's the significance of the tie-in between Don Newcomb and Jackie Robinson and Martin Luther King, as far as I'm concerned. And we held up the New York Post a little while ago, and there is an article in the sports section that says, I wish Jackie were here, about Don Newcomb. And it's from Jim Crow to Obama. Newcomb's seen it all. So.
Absolutely, yeah. I guess sports columnist Peter Bessie sat down with Don Newcomb for a long chat, and it's really kind of interesting. And, you know, he saw Martin Luther King in Los Angeles, I guess 28 days before he was assassinated. And he was struck the fact that King said that Don Newcomb and Jackie Robinson had done so much to help him in his efforts, and Don Newcomb said he was virtually speechless upon hearing that.
And they'd all stayed at the Lorraine Motel where Dr. King died.
Delaware State University Band, as we continue to look at some of the live pageantry unfolding before the White House now, before the 44th President of the United States and the First Lady and the Vice President and other dignitaries there.
When they took that break, I was expecting Mrs. Obama to maybe have something on different.
Yeah.
Am I terrible for saying that?
Well, no. We were just unsure of the time frame they had. I guess they were running perhaps a tad bit behind schedule, but I'm sure that she's. But what I'm curious about is, will there be one dress for the 10 balls, or will there be like the Academy Awards, where she'll have to, you know? It seemed to me that's going to be tough. We've been talking about what she's wearing today, or at least some people have. Isabel Toledo, who's a Cuban-born designer, Sue, and very much a Manhattanite, apparently, works out of a studio down 28th Street, went to FIT and Parsons School of Design, and apparently a favorite of Michelle Obama, and she became familiar with her from a store in Chicago. So Isabel Toledo was gratified. I don't know how much notice she had that Michelle Obama would be wearing one of her designs today, but she was gratified. So that obviously that becomes the talk I'm learning. I look at the political aspects and the sports aspects and, of course, the fashion aspects.
When I worked in Washington, I remember going to, I don't know, it's a wing of a museum that I was at, but there's a whole wing where there's the first ladies in their gowns.
Yes.
You know, and I don't know which gown it is that they wear. whether it's the one that she has on now or.
And we've
just
talked
when-
about, I guess, these comparisons, Sue, to Jackie Kennedy, Jack, who later became Jackie O, in terms of the fashion and the style. I don't know if that comparison was inevitable, just because of the, youthfulness.
Well, young and good looking.
Yeah. To reduce it to this most simplistic terms, yes.
But also, Jackie Onassis got a lot of credit for sprucing up that White House and making Washington, D.C. and the whole country more art conscious.
John Noel has been up at the Apollo Theater, nearby the Apollo Theater in Harlem, where a lot of people were watching and a lot of people have been interested in all of this, and John was taking some of that in. John, more of your thoughts and thoughts of the people there?
David, everywhere we went today in Harlem, you could see it on people's faces, you could hear it in their voices. This was an emotional day for folks in Harlem. Now, we were also in Harlem on election night. We were here at Londell Supper Club, and with me now is Londell Davis, the owner of Londell Supper Club. You told me earlier that, now I saw you election night, but you told me it wasn't until today that you really believed that this had actually happened.
I think when he put his hand on the Bible, and he took the oath, I mean, that really, it was a done deal. The people who were here, a core section of the community, as well as people from Europe. I think there's about 100 people here this morning, and it was euphoria. It was just wonderful.
What went through you at that moment to see that happen?
Well, I'm a product of the 50s and 60s, and I remember the struggle. I was in the service, and I remember some Jim Crow things that were done and said, and I can see America having progressed so far. As Barack Obama said today, we're a young country, and we've come a long way. I think you have to give America a lot of credit.
A lot of people are wondering, though, now as we turn this page in history, whether Barack Obama will be able to heal those long-standing wounds.
Well, I think first and foremost, Barack Obama preaches a message of cohesiveness, that he's only one man and we are Americans. It's 250 million or so people here. And I think it's going to be a concerted effort. We all have to work together for the common good. I also look at a global initiative. I look at the problems throughout the world. The United States has been the leader of the free world and of the world, probably the world as a whole. And I think he will restore that confidence that other countries have in us.
You're optimistic?
I'm extremely optimistic.
Thank you very much. Thank you for allowing us in.
Glad to have you.
Again, here in Harlem, this was definitely a day where everyone will remember where they were. Reporting live in Harlem, John Noel, News 4 New York.
All right, John, up at Londell's, I believe, Sue, which we know, and Janice commenting, a great brunch at Londell's for years up there, and certainly an iconic restaurant.
You had your waffles and what?
Chicken and waffles.
Chicken and waffles.
Which is, not good for my cholesterol, but boy,
Some good eating, right?
Yeah. Well, we understand as we continue to watch live feed here from the parade, and what an honor for so many of these marching bands and other performance troops to parade on the inaugural day parade for the 44th president. But so we've got Don Newcomb on the phone, and I know that you were anxious to talk to him.
Let's introduce him properly. Born in Madison, New Jersey, Don Newcomb was the first African-American pitcher to start a World Series game, and he remains the only player to win Rookie of the Year, Cy Young, and MVP honors, along with his teammate Jackie Robinson. Don Newcomb and the Brooklyn Dodgers won a World Series title in 1955, and he's on the phone now with us. We thank you for taking your time out of the madness down there, Mr. Newcomb.
Oh, thank you so much, Sue. I'm glad to do it because it's a monumental day. Believe me, and I just been crying all morning long and all afternoon long because I'm so happy.
We were talking on the air about an article that appeared in the paper this morning, an article that referred to your interview recently with Pete Vesey, and I was talking about how you were tied to Martin Luther King in a sense, and that you guys, when it was segregated in the South, you had to stay at the same hotels.
Well, it wasn't Martin Luther King. It was with Jackie Robinson. Mm-hmm. And when we played with the Dodgers, we couldn't stay with the team in St. Louis, for instance. And it took many years, 7 years, to change that around from 1947 to 1954. And Jackie Robinson and I did that, and we opened up the city to everybody. People come to see us play in St. Louis.
One of the things in the article that also interested me, Don, was that you talked with Martin Luther King shortly before he went to Memphis and died there. And you asked him why was he going when he was so tired?
Yes, you know, Sue, he was a personal friend of mine, and he came to my house for dinner 28 days before he went to Memphis. He was on his way back to Atlanta, and he stopped by my house, and we had dinner, and he said to me, Don, you and Jackie and Roy will never know how easy you made it for me to do my job and what I'm doing in civil rights and what you men did on the baseball field.
Yeah, people forget that, don't they, that how difficult it was for baseball players and to get into the major leagues, even sometimes not being welcomed by teammates.
Yes, well, you know, I wish I could hear more about teammates in the Obama administration. We were a team, and we all got to get together as a team and help our president to make his job a lot easier, just like we did Martin and the tough job that Martin had doing his job.
Hey, Don, this is David Usry with Sue, and I'm just curious. You know, there were people talking earlier about this generational change in leadership, and initially even some African-American political leaders were skeptical, and it changed probably Iowa when he won the Iowa caucus. And I'm just curious, Don, when did this strike you that Barack Obama could potentially become president of the United States, given everything that you've seen and everything that you were on the front lines for?
David, I'll be honest with you. I never thought I'd live to see it happen. I'm 82 years old, and I never thought that I'd live to see it happen where the United States would have a black man as president. And I'm going to be honest with you. Because of the things that we had to endure, people like myself and the Kings and the Robinsons and all the other people that had to go through this quagmire of prejudice that we lived for so long in this country, I never thought it would happen. I always thought it was going to remain a white man's country, and the white man was going to remain president, maybe a woman sometime, but never, never, never an African-American becoming president of the United States. And believe me, I lived to see it happen, and I'll guarantee you, I cried, and I'm so happy I just don't know what to do with myself.
You know, people will never be able to imagine the indignities of the little simple things that happened every day. For instance, my father, who had to travel because he was a musician, had to teach himself to cut his own hair.
Yeah, I bet your father, I don't know who he played with, but I'll tell you who he traveled to. But I know if he traveled in the South, he had a hard time finding a place to live, for instance, and a place to get something to eat, and to get his hair cut, and to go to a movie and ride the bus. He must have had a hard time like we did when we played baseball.
Absolutely.
And we changed all that. And we are part of what is going on historically today, Sue, and what's going on. And I wish I could hear more about Jackie Robinson during all this celebratory action that's going on. I wish I could hear more about Jackie Robinson, what he contributed to history and what this is all about and getting to President Obama.
Don, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, though, I do have one question for you. You know, it's always part of the discussion in terms of black head coaches or even black ownership of major sports franchises. Do you think, and again, not to get too ahead of ourselves, but do you think this could be a pivotal point in that regard as well in the world of professional sports?
Just no doubt about it. Listen, we got the brains, we got everything, but we have that black skin. And I think our black skin is the thing that keeps us from being trusted by people who own the major league clubs like football and basketball and baseball, and they kind of feel at odds. I remember my friend Larry Doby, he got a chance to manage the White Sox some years ago, and because he had black skin, the owner told him that he could not hire a black manager because he couldn't sell season tickets to white people in Chicago to manage that team. Now, and Larry didn't get the job. So you see, there's something wrong somewhere, David, and that had to be changed. Now maybe the attitudes will change with people who are in a position to make these changes.
Well, you know, we're seeing attitudes change slowly. I mean, how long did it take to get a black quarterback in the NFL and coaches? So we're moving along, Don, and David and I want to thank you so much for taking time out from the inauguration celebration and joining us for just a few moments.
Well, thank you so much, Sue, and thank you, David.
Hi.
All right. Thank you, Don. Tracy Potts has been a witness to history, of course, fulfilling her journalistic and reporting duties, but she's been right there in the middle of it. She's on the National Mall since 4 o'clock this morning. Tracy?
Yeah, David and Sue, there's a lot of commotion going on behind me. What you're hearing is that parade being broadcast here on the National Mall. The people who were here for the ceremony this morning, many of them, most of them have cleared out, but some remain, and they're broadcasting this so that people can see what's going on. To say that this was an emotional day for the people here would really be an understatement. I mean, we got the opportunity during the inauguration ceremony to really go out amongst the crowd, to talk to people, and really, quite frankly, which was more interesting, to observe them as this was going on. People were cheering, they were crying, they were praying. A lot of the sentiments that your guest expressed just a moment ago is what people were telling us. It was fascinating to hear from people who had come from all over the country. I talked with a woman from Dallas, Texas, who had been a soldier. She came here, she ended up way at the back of the crowd. She was here. We're about 7 blocks from the Capitol. She was way in the back, sort of off to the corner. Her view of the big screen was, half of it was blocked by a truck. She could barely see what was going on. None of that fazed her. She was in tears. She was so happy to see this historic day. And that's the sentiment that we've heard from a lot of people. They feel a unified spirit. Now, of course, it is the challenge of President Barack Obama to take that unified spirit and apply it to some of the challenges that he talked about in his speech today that we're experiencing in this country.
Indeed, Tracy. Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, did you hear from folks? Of course, they're happy for the day, but also concern about managing high expectations for the president and results, because even he has said this could be a solution that is years in the making.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, his biggest challenge is going to be to deal with the economy, something that we've been following very closely here in Washington. You know, after he was elected, I was in Chicago during election night. The first thing he said was, we are not going to solve these problems overnight. We're not necessarily going to even solve them during my first term in office, certainly not during the first year. And that's typical. Presidents, when they are first elected, try to bring down those expectations. Of course, the job is difficult right now because the expectations are so high, because we're facing such challenging times. Part of that will be solved with smart diplomacy, with smart leadership. Part of that will be solved through garnering a spirit of unity in this country. And that part, of course, he appears to be well on his way to doing.
All right, NBC's Tracy Potts, we thank you so much. We know it's been a long day for you, but an exciting day. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and your coverage with us.
All right, Jonathan Deese is here now. He's working on a few things today. And Jonathan, we were struck by the fact that no arrests were made today, and all these millions of people.
That's right. You know, crowd estimates, we're hearing over 1 million, over 1.8 million, whatever the numbers. Both federal and local officials in Washington saying no arrests. Just checked with the NYPD here just to see if there were any incidents with all the celebrations and crowds across the city. Nothing here in New York to report. Also, a successful, joyous day. Obviously, there were concerns among law enforcement officials about the terror threats. There were these chatters about Somali terror groups and other possible terror threats for this day. So far, nothing at all found to be credible, but there were some concerns, obviously, for a day and an event like this in this post-9/11 world. But again, nothing taking place. And Barack Obama, in his speech, President Obama, talking to the extremists, warning, saying, you cannot outlast us, we will defeat you, sending a message that he will maintain a strong foreign policy as he moves forward. But he also talked about instead of approaching us with a closed fist, if you have an open hand, we will meet you and work with you. Those some of the sentiments out of the speech today. On the economic front, Barack Obama saying we will act to lay a new foundation for growth. And that's needed. We've seen what's happened in the stock exchange, and today the Dow dropped 300 points. The president saying he will be meeting with his economic advisors tomorrow, and business is underway. Lots of partying, lots of celebration tonight, but it's to business tomorrow. Economic meetings tomorrow. The Senate confirming 7 cabinet secretaries today. Still Hillary Clinton, Secretary of State, to go tomorrow.
You mean there's actually business being conducted in Washington today?
There is, and there's a lot of work to be done, as we know, given some of the concerns of both foreign and what's going on with the economy.
Yeah, Jonathan, you mentioned the stock market is still roiled by fears about the banks, including a major bank in Scotland, so we didn't get any Obama bump, at least not today. But I want to ask you about security. I know you've been in touch with some of your sources in the security community. They've had the papal visit, they've had other inaugurations, but this really was unprecedented. Just give us what you can in terms of the layers and the levels of the security.
Well, there were thousands and thousands of security officials, and how they plan for these events, they do perimeter rings of security. Basically working their way from the protectee, their way out to ensure that nothing will take place. You've heard a lot about the new presidential limousine and the extraordinary levels that have been taken to ensure that safety. Again, there were threats, there were concerns that they were monitoring and keeping track of, and you can see right there in that picture, he's behind bulletproof glass. As is customary with presidents before him as well, but clearly extraordinary security measures being taken, and they will certainly continue throughout his administration. Given the nature of the threats that exist in today's world.
All right, Jonathan. You got any more?
Well, there's tons to talk about.
Well, Jonathan,
I think it's always but I think one thing which you guys were speaking to just a moment ago with Trace is just the significance of this. And I was struck by Colin Powell. I've seen him interviewed around all the networks today, and he was speaking, and he said basically on a day like this you just start tearing up. And just the significance that it means, for the African American community and also for this nation and how far we've come, and just really a touching.
African Americans are celebrating because the man is African American, but Americans are celebrating because the country's ready for change.
Yeah. But Colin Powell's an interesting point, because a few years ago it was thought that he might be the first major candidate, at least, to run for president. Of course, his family did not want him to. But he seems to be overjoyed himself and said this is the right time. Interestingly today, I heard him interviewed, and he said, though, I'm still a Republican, and this may need to be a wake-up call for the party, not just but how they're managing their message. And we know, of course, the Republican Party is trying to regroup right now in the face of this election.
It'll be interesting to see how the Republicans try to pick and choose their battles with this extraordinarily popular president, and where they move through both with the economic spending and the bailouts and the trillions of dollars that.
One thing's for sure, there will be battles.
Oh, sure, there will be.
There's too many controversial and heavy issues going on. Tom Yamas is in Brownsville with some students standing by. Be interesting to see their perspective, Tom.
Well, Sue and David, you can probably remember those rare moments in elementary school growing up when the teacher allowed you to watch television. It was usually during some monumental news event. That's exactly what happened today at PS 323. Joining me now are 2 students and the principal here. First, Ilona Goodrich, 7th grader. What did it mean for you to see Barack Obama be inaugurated today?
It was very inspirational to see that, because it shows that no matter what race you are, you can achieve and succeed in life to be whoever you want to be. Just follow your destiny. And it shows that it's a very good encouragement to us. It is.
Kenneth Davis, you're a 4th grader. You're years away from voting, but what did it mean for you as a 4th grader and as an African American growing up in America?
Well, it tells me that Barack Obama, he gives us, we could follow in his footsteps, because it could tell that any young black American, white, it doesn't matter what color your skin is, you become, just follow your dream and don't give up.
Now, Principal Linda Harris, this was your idea. 600 students watched the inauguration live. Why did you do it?
This was for our students. This is to show them that yes, they can. Yes, we can. And as the first African-American president, Barack Obama, it gives my students hope, especially here in Ocean Hill, Brownsville, where many opportunities are barred from these youngsters. They can look up and see we have an African-American president, and they can follow in his footsteps.
Linda, I have to hit you with a tough question here. Tomorrow you have a very, very important exam for all of these students, the English Language Arts exam for the state of New York, and yet you chose today a half day so they could watch inauguration. Do you think that's going to be a smart move in the future?
It's definitely a smart move because these youngsters are going to go into that test tomorrow knowing, yes, I can. I think I spoke to my 8th graders, my 7th graders, and I asked them last year going in to take that test. It was not the same. It's not going to be the same tomorrow for them because they're saying, yes, this is the start for us, and we can. And every test thereafter, we'll remember that we have an African-American president, and we can because he said we can, and we have seen it.
Principal Linda Harris from PS 323, thank you so much. Kenneth Davis and Ilona Goodrich, thank you for joining us. That's the very latest from Brownsville in Brooklyn. I'm going to send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Tom, thank you so much.
Looking at live pictures here of the inaugural day parade, and sunlight has faded, Sue, but obviously things still very much electrified there in front of the reviewing stand in front of the White House.
And David, smack me if I say again, okay? All right. At any rate, much attention has been given to Michelle Obama's fashion over the past few months, and many, many, many eyes will be on her tonight at the inauguration balls. We have with us now New York Magazine's fashion editor, Amy LaRocca. Amy, welcome to this program. And so far, how is Michelle Obama doing with the fashion world? How does she rate?
Michelle Obama is doing great. I mean, the fashion world is sort of madly in love, and happily I can say that it seems like it's a reciprocal love. Michelle Obama loves clothes. She wears clothes really well. She's kind of adventurous in terms of the designers she's choosing. And in a time that's really difficult for retail, she can sell out a cardigan that she wears on television. So she's great for the industry, and she's daring in her choices. She's bold. She favors designers that we haven't seen anyone in this kind of position wearing before, who are sort of independent designers based in New York, all American designers. So she's great for the industry.
When you say she's bold, I thought back to election night when she wore that red and black number. She took a little criticism for that one.
She took a little criticism for it. I thought she looked great, and I think she looks fantastic today. Today she's wearing Isabel Toledo, who is a very independent designer based here in New York. She's a Cuban-American. She's sort of long beloved by the fashion industry and a little bit lesser known outside of New York and fashion circles, so it's great to see her taking that kind of a, you know, stepping out like that and supporting a kind of small business.
Yeah, I mean, I'm reading, because as you know, fashion may not be my strong point, Sue, sorry, but I'm reading that she discovered Isabel Toledo in a store in Chicago that she really likes, with also Narciso Rodriguez. Tell us about these kinds of designers that she may tend to favor right now.
She's a long-standing client of a boutique called Ikram, which is in Chicago, and through Ikram, she's bought designers like Azzedine Alaïa, who's not American, but is sort of the godfather of the avant-garde. And she, through Ikram, I think she started looking to designers like Narciso Rodriguez, also a designer named Takun. She's working with a designer named Maria Cornejo, who has a line called Zero, which is based on Mott Street, in Little Italy. And I know that Maria Cornejo has done a great range of things specifically for Michelle Obama, and she's been wearing them throughout the inauguration week. So these are some sort of great designers who people might not have known of before, and have gotten a tremendous boost from Michelle Obama.
She's a tall woman, wears clothes well, but she has to be careful because of her hips. The fashion industry does not kind to women with hips.
Well, maybe this is going to be a great moment for hips, because she looks fantastic, and everyone's dying to dress her. So, you know, everyone's lining up to dress her. I mean, J. Crew, it's like the press releases I've gotten today, because the girls are wearing J. Crew, and
what it mentioned,
how great did they look? Yeah.
I think it was after Sarah Palin drew all the headlines about her budget. It was something like $150,000 for her clothes. And Michelle Obama went on the Tonight Show that night wearing a sweater set from J. Crew. And knocked everybody out.
Knocked everybody out and sold out. I think by the time Leno went off the air, the entire J. Crew website must have crashed from the number of hits they got. And and her daughters are in J. Crew, and Michelle Obama wore J. Crew last night, and so she's also sort of not only doing the high-end, very expensive clothing thing, she's also doing what a lot of American women do, which is mix in the mid-priced clothing.
And buy the knockoffs.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
The fashion world just went crazy when I said that. But they always have the less expensive version.
Lines, yeah.
Amy LaRocca, we thank you for coming by.
Thank you so much.
And we proceed on now.
Yes.
Nation's capital, you know, David, might have been just a little crowded today.
Wee bit, Sue. Still a bit crowded, but some lucky New Yorkers got to witness the inauguration in a place with some historical meaning of its own. And our government affairs reporter, Melissa Russo, has that.
This daycare worker named Comfort waited too long for this moment to witness it from her couch.
I feel like there's a new birth in the country.
So along with 800 other New Yorkers, Comfort scored a seat in the seat of city government.
Everyone here is energized, so it's better to be with people.
Most watched in the historic council chamber, others on the floor. All appeared transported once it was underway.
Barack H. Obama.
It was a whole lot smaller and warmer here in the city council chamber than it was on the National Mall, but the energy level in the room was so high that at points we almost forgot we weren't there.
I was also born in 1961, and when I was little I would say, my mother used to say, you know, one day we could have a black president. And I said, yeah, sure. You know, but I never thought it would be in my lifetime.
I mean, I could do this at home, but to be with people who were all crying right together is really nice.
Fortunately, we are sitting right behind these students, and they are worked up, they are hyped. You know, they know their future is bright.
Here in the front row, the cheers were extra loud for Obama's daughters, Malia and Sasha.
I felt excited because they're going to be the girls of the White House, and everyone keeps saying that I look like one of them.
We're moving up in the world, from bottom to top.
The crowd was positive, only a few boos and thumbs down for the outgoing president. And funny, but the loudest jeers came when some local politicians turned down the volume so they could try to claim the spotlight. Even at City Hall, it was Obama's day. Melissa Russo, News 4 New York.
All right, got a chance to see it there. From a historical perspective, of course, the whole world got a chance to watch this from wherever they were, and a good, safe assumption is that many people throughout the world were watching.
Well, judging by the primaries alone, at the end of the primaries,
Sure.
when he made his trip over to Europe, he was treated like a rock star. So,
we've been looking at these live pictures, Sue, of the inaugural day parade.
I said,
No, that's all right. It's fine. Robert F. Kennedy used to say all the time. Right. You know, some of our tri-state area folks are well represented here, and this is quite an honor for them. The Tuskegee Airmen have participated in this parade, according to a list I have, and we've been interviewing a couple of them before they left.
It's always nice to see them, isn't it?
Oh,
Because,
my goodness, yes. Because
they were so skilled and came back to a country that wasn't quite ready for them.
No. So, and many of them in their late 80s, early 90s. Mm-hmm. Some of them even too frail to make it, but some are. And I'm thinking of Roscoe Brown, the captain, and Colonel Lee Archer, some of the people from our area who are down there as we look at the president-elect saluting. The president, look at me. See, I knew it was going to happen once. The President Obama.
Well, we went back and forth with that. We was calling him president too soon. We're calling him president-elect too long.
Right.
But he is Mr. President as of this moment.
Well, this is an event that has touched everyone around the world, and even here in New York, as Sue helps out the performing man there. But let's take a look, Sue, at the Empire State Building. Red, white, and blue for this historic day in American history.
I'm still wrapping my arms around it. I'm sure you are as well, David. I was in my apartment today, and I said, you know, we are watching history. I don't care how many times we say it. It's amazing.
That's right. And I heard many people say, no matter what political affiliation or where you come from, you have to be struck by the turning of a page in United States history.
Live from Studio 7E in Rockefeller Center, this is News 4 New York.
Tonight, a day of new promise and hope.
I stand here today humbled by the task before us, grateful for the trust you've bestowed, mindful of the sacrifices borne by our ancestors.
A day of laughter and tears. a day of history.
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear.
From the tradition on the steps of the Capitol to the celebrations on the streets of New York, the transition of power is complete with the inauguration of Barack Obama. And good evening. We take you back live to Washington as we continue our special coverage here on News 4 New York. The inaugural parade is still flowing down Pennsylvania Avenue from the Capitol past the White House.
And there will be some tired folk who sleep well tonight. Good evening. Chuck is off tonight.
President Barack Obama's moment has arrived.
Well, the Democrat applauded by millions in Washington and millions more nationwide. Today's inauguration, a moment of celebration during this difficult time for the nation. And our team of reporters has been following the historic event all day long across the tri-state and Washington, D.C.
We begin our coverage with Andrew Siff and today's powerful changing of the guard. Andrew.
Well, David and Sue, as you guys were just talking about, if there's one quote we've heard most since Barack Obama's election, it's, "I never thought I'd see the day." Well, today, nearly 2 million people in Washington and tens of millions more watching around the globe did see the day.
We must pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and begin again the work of remaking America.
The nation's 44th president described gathering clouds and raging storms in a world full of challenges. But the sun shined brightly on the National Mall and nearly 2 million people who witnessed history.
Why a man whose father less than 60 years ago might not have been served at a local restaurant can now stand before you to take a most sacred oath.
The uniquely American transition of power began hours earlier as Barack Obama and his wife Michelle attended morning mass. The new first couple then shared coffee with outgoing President George W. Bush and First Lady Laura. From the White House, the motorcade made its way to the Capitol, where former presidents were among the VIPs. And one president's grown-up daughters yielded the spotlight to Malia and Sasha Obama.
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear.
As for the oath of office, there was a slight stumble when Chief Justice John Roberts skipped a phrase, but he and Mr. Obama soon finished the swearing in.
Preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
So help you God?
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
And in his 20-minute inaugural address, Mr. Obama sounded forceful.
For those who seek to advance their aims by inducing terror and slaughtering innocents, we say to you now that our spirit is stronger and cannot be broken. You cannot outlast us, and we will defeat you.
After the speech, under the tightest blanket of security Washington has ever seen, the President and Mrs. Obama left their bulletproof vehicle and walked along Pennsylvania Avenue, leading the inaugural parade.
And among the president's other duties today, he signed nomination papers for his cabinet choices at a traditional luncheon at Statuary Hall. Sue and David, back to you.
All right, Andrew, thank you. Well, Senator Ted Kennedy is in a Washington hospital tonight after he suffered a seizure during a post-inauguration luncheon. President Obama had greeted Senator Kennedy just minutes before the senator became ill. Kennedy was an early Obama supporter. He does suffer from a brain tumor. He was taken away by ambulance to the hospital where the president called him. After tests, doctors believe the incident was brought on simply by fatigue.
Well, today's crowd stretched across the National Mall and down the streets of D.C., a showing of the nation's pride and spirit.
News for New York's Jeff Rosson heard the screams and saw the tears firsthand. Jeff?
Yeah, still cleaning out my ears. The screams were loud. What a day here on the National Mall, sort of an overflow area for millions of people. They estimate about 1.8 million people came here today. You know, it's sort of like New York, Times Square, New Year's Eve, but sort of like 12:15 a.m. when everyone leaves. All the garbage is left behind. There are sanitation workers now trying to clean everything up. The Jumbotrons are still going, even though most of the people are gone, and so you can still hear that parade going on. But all in all, just an amazing, humbling day to be here for this today.
A moment in time, the hope and excitement of an untainted president.
So help you God. So help me God. Congratulations, Mr. President.
He'll make decisions they don't like, but today, that doesn't matter. Not here.
Here is incredible. The energy is amazing, unbelievable. And just the chance to be here, standing with everyone, all surrounded for one cause, is something I could never have imagined.
On the National Mall, 1.8 million people. Not like anyone hand counted, it's an estimate. Let's just say it's jammed.
I thought I'd never see this moment, but it's here. We've done it. Obama.
Right now we're in the middle of the National Mall. and you can see it's literally wall-to-wall people. This is what it takes to get through the crowd. Standing room only is an understatement.
It's bedlam, but it's wonderful. It's absolutely incredible.
It was so crowded today, security had to close off entrances. Simply too many people, too dangerous. Some ticket holders never even made it in. This family came from Long Island.
This is a life-changing experience for them, for me, for all of us.
You have to go down to 23rd Street. It's the exit only.
Getting here wasn't easy. People were detoured, forced to walk miles. In some cases, 2 blocks meant 2 hours. So why come out here?
Just to experience the whole thing. The whole, it's one thing to watch it on TV, but it's the whole atmosphere, all the people and all the excitement and the cold.
Doesn't compare, right?
It doesn't, no.
But as they scatter tonight, supporters won't remember the annoyance. They'll remember the story of Barack Obama and the day he made history.
It's unlike anything I've ever experienced any before. There's more people here than I've ever seen in my lifetime, probably more than I'll ever see again in one place.
Yeah, and it struck me today, Barack Obama must be so tired. I mean, he probably didn't sleep much last night. He's been dealing with the parade all day and the inauguration festivities, which I'm sure has been, what a moment for him. But now he has to hit 10 inaugural balls happening across Washington, D.C. He won't be in the White House till the wee hours of the morning. And we've also just learned that Sasha and Malia, they're sort of getting a sleepover party themselves. They're going to be having a party at the White House as Mom and Dad, Barack and Michelle Obama, the President and First Lady, are out partying themselves at these balls. So fun for the entire family. Many hours left of it tonight. Live in D.C., Jeff Rawson, News 4 New York. Back to you.
All right, Jeff, thank you. And from D.C. to the heart of Harlem, John Noel continues our coverage from Londale Supper Club. John?
So here in Harlem today, I've seen children, women, and grown men crying, tears of joy as their world evolved beyond their imagination.
A roar went up from the crowd at the famed Apollo Theater on 125th Street in Harlem as Barack Obama officially became the 44th President of the United States of America. Hundreds of people on their feet, many of them with tears in their eyes, overwhelmed with emotion as they watched a truly historic moment unfold in this nation's history.
Just sort of overwhelmed. It's an amazing day for America. God bless us.
I'm sorry, I can't stop crying. I grew up knowing that this will never happen. It wasn't going to never be. Don't even dream about it. Don't even tell your children you could be anything you want. You'll never be the president. You can say it now. You can say it now.
I gotta get him. A little farther uptown at Londale Supper Club, there was a smaller, more intimate, but no less emotional gathering of people for whom this day brings so much hope, promise, and responsibility.
This is a collective responsibility we have. We can't put everything on the shoulders of our president. We all have to change. We all have to contribute. We all have to work hard to make this nation work.
On the plaza out in front of the state office building in Harlem, hundreds more braved the cold to watch this new dramatic chapter in American history unfold on a giant screen.
Oh, you can't see right now, but underneath these clothes, I got goosebumps because it's a magical day. And I realized that Obama, he can't do it by himself. It's going to take all of us, no matter what race, color, creed we are. But we can do this.
Harlem tonight is a community filled with emotion, people living in a time most thought they would never see. Reporting live in Harlem, John Noel, News 4 New York.
All right, John, thank you. We're sure it's emotional in Newark as well. And Tim Minton has been watching history be made at Essex County College. Tim?
They're in the Student Center in the cafeteria where they've come together to watch and talk, part of the way New Jersey is joining in celebration. Embracing change and tears on the aisle as almost 3,000 at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center became group witnesses to history.
To be with everybody, that it's so meaningful to all of us, the camaraderie, the enjoyment that we all feel in today is very, very special.
Reverend Gregory Jacobs brought his father's cufflinks to remember the man who decades ago went to the Deep South to help get African Americans the right just to join whites in restaurants, schools, and on buses.
He went to Hattiesburg, Mississippi in 1963.
and walked that difficult march and worked for this day.
We always wanted to be New Jersey's town square, a place where people can come together to feel and touch each other and to celebrate great occasions.
From the first sight of the president-elect, the mood electrified. Minutes later, when the Chief Justice administered the oath and said, "Congratulations, Mr. President," it turned euphoric.
You know, I work on racial integration. I've dedicated my life to working to bring people together. And to see a person who embodies the work that I do is just so amazing.
Across Newark, Jeffrey Aleka watched at a McDonald's and offered prayers for the president.
And I wish everybody would pray for him because he can't do it alone.
While here at Essex College, students watched together, some hoping their own odds for success would be improved by President Obama's.
With him winning, that's the highest accomplishment I think you could get in America, and I think everything else will follow suit.
This was a moment in history on which many families declared individual but collective national holidays. One was typical. Evelyn Gonzalez Spivey brought her 3 sons to the New Jersey Performing Arts Center, and a neighbor's son, she said, "We're worrying about the history today, and I'll figure out the note to the teacher tomorrow." We're live in Newark. Tim Minton, News 4 New York.
All right, Tim, thank you.
Well, on the phone with us, Sue, is someone who knows a little something about making history, the former mayor of New York City, David Dinkins. And Mr. Mayor, in January 1990, many stood at City Hall and shed a tear as you took the oath of office. I'm wondering your thoughts on this day.
Well, like so many others, I never thought this day would come because, you see, I'm a child of the Depression. Long before Dr. King, I recognized what a terrible, terrible time we had, those of us of color. And I was in the Marine Corps in 1945, and in North Carolina, I witnessed black troops, black Marines, and black soldiers being treated less well than were Italian and German prisoners of war. So I really, really thought this day would never come, but I'm delighted that it has.
Mr. Mayor, I'm curious your thoughts when we heard today about sort of the generational, I don't know if gap's the right word anymore, but of course, politicians from your era and now Barack Obama and the mayor of Washington, D.C. and the mayor of Newark. Your thoughts, you know, there was some skepticism. How does this baton get passed and what happens now?
Well, I think that it's good that I've heard our new president say that he recognizes that everybody stands on somebody's shoulders. And some of us have said that for years. Everybody stands on somebody's shoulders. And by that we mean Malcolm X and Dr. King and Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman and Rosa Parks. And for me personally, it means Percy Ellis Sutton, who ran for mayor in 1977 with such class and distinction that no one laughed at me when I dared try in '89.
Indeed, Mr. Mayor, and I'm wondering now, your thoughts about managing expectations. I mean, there's euphoria of this day, but there are real challenges facing Barack Obama, and I know there were real challenges facing you as the mayor of New York City. Your advice to him, if you had him on the phone.
Well, I wouldn't presume to offer him advice, but I would make the observation that any executive, be it a mayor, a governor, or a president, needs to be surrounded by capable, honest people on whom he or she can rely. And I think that President Obama has done that. From what I see so far, he's surrounding himself with a cabinet that is tremendously capable and persons on whom he can rely. He cannot possibly do it alone.
The 106th mayor of New York City, David Dinkins. Mr. Mayor, we thank you for taking a few moments with us.
Thank you. Take care.
And we'll be back in just a few moments.
Courage and fair play, tolerance and curiosity.
Hundreds packed Rockefeller Center to watch President Obama take the oath of office. All eyes were on the big screens as history unfolded before them when Mr. Obama gave his inaugural address. And we've been showing you, Sue, how the inaugural parade is making its way past the White House. And among those participating are 14 boys from a home for troubled kids in New Jersey.
New Jersey reporter Brian Thompson got up very early this morning to meet their bus on its journey to Washington.
You got your blanket. You got your long johns. Your long johns going now.
Bleary-eyed, shortly before 3 a.m., the Bonnie Bray Marching Drum Corps, all 14 members at this residential treatment home for boys in Bernards Township, made ready for the day of their lives. The rhythm was there, even if the drums were still being loaded into the belly of this bus. And then it was time to roll.
I'm very nervous. I'm scared I'm going to drop my stick or something.
Down the byways and highways of New Jersey, on to history.
I have a chance to tell my grandkids I went to Obama's inauguration. We're making history today.
And it means a lot to me that I'll be able to see the first black president.
What more could we ask for? First black president.
On this long bus ride that so many others were taking from all over the nation, there was a sense these kids are fully aware of this moment.
I would have never thought that it could happen because of people still being racist and stuff, but it's a good thing.
Barack Obama wrote a book called The Audacity of Hope. The idea that 14 kids from troubled backgrounds could march in an inaugural parade suggested Obama could add another chapter to that book. And ready to march they were. Weeks of practice, donations of drums and uniforms and so much more, so that these kids, with so little hope at home, could march in the biggest parade in the nation. Brian Thompson, News 4 New York.
We'll be thinking about this day for quite some time. Helping us mark the moment are special inaugural editions of our newspapers. They've been hitting newsstands this afternoon. The Post's front page says history is made. And what is the extra Star Ledger say?
Yeah, there you go.
He takes oath of office and calls for a new era of responsibility. Yeah. Tom Yamas continues our coverage live in Brownsville with what kids are saying about the day. Tom?
Well, today we were at PS 323, where they were definitely in the inauguration mood. Before it even started, the assistant principal got in front of the entire student body and said, watch, listen, and pay attention, because this is a day you will never forget for the rest of your lives. And it was a campaign slogan for Barack Obama, but now at this public school, it's their motto, yes, we can. When children get this excited about politics, something special is happening in Washington. The moment President Barack Obama appeared on screen, students at PS 323 jumped out of their chairs.
It gives me hope and more opportunities for in the future.
8th grader Sherwin Renard will never forget seeing Obama take the oath of office.
That I could be president of the United States one day.
Some students were so moved by this day, they wrote poems to the new president.
Have a new yes, we can have a free world. Yes, we can have no more war.
For these youngsters in Ocean Hill, Brownsville, this is a great time for them to see that they can look up to someone, to see that someone that looks like them have arrived in the White House.
The God-given promise that all are equal, all are free, and all deserve a chance to pursue their full measure of happiness.
Basically, we're trying to let everybody know that you can do whatever you want to do in life as long as you put your mind to it.
A majority of the students at PS 323 are black. They've learned about the struggle for civil rights, the leaders who came before President Obama. But now, all they have to do is look up at a television to know they live in a different time in a much different country. And PS 323 was one of 1,200 schools that watched the inauguration live across New York City. Reporting live from the Brownsville section of Brooklyn, I'm Tom Yamas, News 4 New York.
All right, Tom, thank you. The peaceful transfer of power is something this country often takes for granted.
But the struggle that opened the White House door to a black man had to overcome hatred, violence, even murder. DeMarco Morgan sat down with two people who are forever linked to that troubled time in American history. DeMarco.
Yeah, and again, it was a tough time for this country, and it's safe to say that had a number of Americans not lost their lives fighting for equal rights, President Obama would not be where he is today as the commander-in-chief. We spoke with the families of 3 slain civil rights workers, black and white, who literally gave their lives to see this day happen.
I, Barack Hussein.
Witnessing the 44th President of the United States of America sworn in Tuesday afternoon was a bit emotional for these two friends, Ben Cheney and David Goodman.
Who would believe that a black man would be in the White House? I didn't think our country had it in us to make this shift, and I was wrong.
The two did not grow up together, but were united by one of the nation's ugliest hate crimes that helped spark the civil rights movement.
Y'all think you can drive any speed you want around here?
The movie, Mississippi Burning, is a depiction of what happened back in 1964 when their brothers James and Andrew, along with Michael Schwerner, were shot and killed and buried in an earthen dam. The trio was on a mission to register black voters in the state of Mississippi.
Our brothers were not just murdered. The people who murdered them murdered our Constitution.
We gather because we have chosen hope over fear.
Fast forward 45 years later, the country is now celebrating its first black president.
Now we can see that anybody, regardless of who they are, whether they're powerful, whether they're rich or poor, can rise up to that position, can get there.
A number of men, both local law enforcement and members of the Ku Klux Klan, were tried and convicted for conspiracy of the crimes, but served little time.
We can take the anger, we can take the hostility, and we can take the ignorance, and we can use it as a tool so that there won't be no more anger.
Cheney says today's ceremony, however, delivers the biggest blow to those who refuse to believe in freedom for all.
Who would have believed it?
Ironically, the freedom fighters were missing for 44 days. Now, with the 44th president in office, both men say change has finally come to America.
Barack Obama is a person who I believe will make us aware of all the issues.
And both Cheney and Goodman believe there are others still out there responsible for their brothers' killings who have yet to be justice, and they are pushing for the case to be reopened. But overall, today was a sweet one, to say the least.
DeMarco, thank you.
You bet.
For a complete wrap-up of today's events, just visit our website. You can watch the president's speech in its entirety. You can also click through photo galleries and see which celebrities were spotted in the crowds. Just go to NBCNewYork.com, and it's all right there on the homepage.
Well, Janice Huff is here now, and Janice, it looked much colder in Washington than it seems to be here. Is that so?
Well, no. They're going to get just as cold as we'll get here tonight. It has been turning colder there. At least they had a sunny day. I was happy about that. But yes, it was a bit on the chilly side. And tonight, their temperatures will drop into the teens and wind chills right around 0. Our high today was 29, and it'll be a little bit colder the next couple of days. A low of 19 this morning. It will warm up by the end of the week, though. 27 in the city right now, 19 in Montgomery, 25 at Seaside Heights, and Somerville at 26. Philadelphia's 27. Look at the cold air, single digits and teens from Chicago across the Great Lakes to Cleveland and to Johnstown. So some of that cold air is pouring our way. We will see a nip in the air for the next 24 hours. They had snow over North and South Carolina this morning. Not much, but snow nonetheless. Our weather was sunny here all the way down the corridor down to Washington, D.C., and we were thankful for that, certainly. But it will warm up by Friday. We're looking at temperatures in the 40s. So with that said, we've got to deal with a really cold day tomorrow. Again, 27 with sunshine, 37 Thursday, up to 42 on Friday, and then cold air swings back in over the weekend. There's also a chance of snow coming up again on Monday into Tuesday. That's your weather. Now back to you.
All right, Janice, thank you, and we'll be right back.
Verizon Fios Sports Desk, brought to you by Verizon Fios, the most amazing TV picture and the fastest internet, period.
Len here now. What are teams up to today, Len?
Well, happily not much. The only local pro team in action tonight, the Rangers hosting Anaheim. We'll have highlights at 11. Well, over the years, athletes have, for the most part, played the part of being black heroes. That's certainly changed in a big way today. A couple of those heroes were on hand. A frail Muhammad Ali finding his seat at the swearing-in today. Magic Johnson also on hand at the inauguration in Washington. And this afternoon at Planet Hollywood, the Knicks held a celebration of change to honor both the new president and the memory of Martin Luther King. Some of their players were on hand talking about a day they thought they would never see.
I would have thought that this event would ever occur, and now we have to use that as an example to the young kids that anything is possible.
When I played in the NBA my first year, some teams had to eat, white players eat in one room and blacks in the other rooms. I couldn't eat in some hotels, but to think that at this time we would have, in my lifetime, we'd have a black president, it's incredible. I'm so happy to see it, but I never thought it would happen.
And don't you wish Jackie Robinson were still alive? And what he might have to say today.
We reached out to Mrs. Robinson. She wasn't feeling very well.
And I loved hearing Don Newcomb today.
Yes.
Going to hear more of that at 11?
Yes.
Yeah, that's great, because he certainly lived through it.
They certainly did.
Well, still more to the day, but we're getting ready to be done here for now.
Yep, we're going to see the parade is still winding its way past the White House, Sue. And that'll be winding up, and then they will get ready for 10 inaugural balls.
I think I'm going to fly down between programs.
Well, I
David.
think you should. I think there's,
Look at that. Then tonight at 10, NBC will have live primetime coverage of the inaugural balls, from the Commander-in-Chief's ball, the BET ball. The BET has a ball.
Oh, yes.
And the youth ball.
I bet you they have quite the ball this year. That's going to do it for this edition of News for New York at 6.
We'll see you tonight at 11. Good night. Thank you for joining us.